Hey there. Welcome to the Self-Consciousness Podcast, everybody. I am Jennifer Way, your host, and I'm so happy that you've joined us today. Today is a super special episode. One of my favorite people in the entire universe is here, Andye Murphy. The way she has designed her teachings, it's just had the most profound impact in my life. She is my dragon birth year twin. I feel like she has guided me through my spiritual puberty, which I kind of feel like I'm still in. But get ready to laugh, get ready to learn. Hopefully don't get too scared. We do talk about entities. But I hope you do learn something. Yeah, I know you're going to enjoy this because we did, and you're going to be able to feel it. So, meh. Thank you for joining. See you inside. Today on the Self-Consciousness Podcast, we're welcoming Andye Murphy, multidimensional priestess, Akashic Records truth slinger, mystery school teacher, and creator of the Cosmic Mama podcast. Welcome!
Yay.
I am so happy to have you on.
So am I.
Yes.
Well, and Jen, you and I have been listening to each other's voices in enamored ways for years now. So
Yes.
It's only appropriate that we get to do it here and be self-conscious with other people listening.
Cool. So Andye, I just want to kind of introduce, as I say now, to our 31 listeners. I like to, we're climbing. I like to say that Andye was my first real proof that I wasn't crazy, because I found you on Learn It Live, I guess. I found a course that you were teaching. And I looked you up online. I loved what you wrote, especially about working with people, loving them, respecting their energy, and like disconnecting when you're done. And I was like, oh my God, I have to work with her. And to be on the phone with her doing energy work that I had never done before, and to have her be like, why are your feet so damn cold? This was like on Skype. Like, I was like, what? How does that? She's like, yeah. And then your fucking shoulders, man, what's going on? Like, your neck is so, and I was like, how do you know that? And it was unreal to me. And it was my first experience with energy work. And I just couldn't fucking get over it. And I've been working with her ever since, and then becoming a student of hers, going through Akashic Records school, Birthing the Light school. And eventually, like, now I just want her in my life as my friend.
We've done that. Yeah, I've heard your Cheetos munching at times on some messages. So yeah, I think we're there.
I think we're there.
Was the
Yes.
Cheetos? It was chips. I remember.
Was I eating chips? Are you sure?
You freaked out on the kids because somebody came in while you were eating chips.
Oh God. Oh, you're right. Yes. Meanwhile, I'm finding wrappers of their food everywhere, and I'm like, where did you? Okay, forget it.
Patterns. Hey.
Yeah, I heard you on your podcast today saying something about the parenting coach that you're working with, and how they mimic you.
Profound.
And then they,
yeah.
Or they make fun of you.
Until they mimic.
They mock until they mimic.
Yeah, it was such a good line to me. She comes in like Shisahat, like Sekhmet, sorry. Like, she just holds this fucking space, and I feel like I'm just like being witnessed by the divine and called out on the places that I, and she doesn't call out harshly, but yeah, it's pretty beautiful.
Lovingly and direct.
She sees the divine in you and doesn't let you be anything else. Right? Yeah. Michelle Bowen, she's insane.
Dang.
But yeah, I think it is that thing of being mocked is what we have all been so scared of, to step into truth. And then when we do wake up or become more conscious, or whatever languaging we want to play with, we want to wake everybody else up. And that is usually not the way to go. It's pretty abrasive and it's pretty dicky for you to assume that anyone needs anything. So as she was saying that, yeah, you're mocked until they mimic. I think that's what I seek to be. I'm past the point where I'm concerned about being mocked anymore.
Yeah.
Can I get them to mimic? By
Yeah.
putting all my shit out there and by doing it as authentically and sincerely as I know how. Mhm.
So, Shisahat. Can we talk about Shisahat for a second?
I don't know. Can we?
We
And I
should.
say can we because I don't know how much she'll let us talk. We can try.
Yeah. I want you to explain who she is.
Okay. She Sahat is goddess of ascension. She created the Akashic records. She is really truly the cosmic mama because she created some of the architecture for how this planet behaves. Cosmic structure and order of how things on this planet are set up a little bit. And she holds the feminine side of that. So she's the one who shows us both the ways into it and the ways out of it.
Yeah.
But she's the overseer. And I think my favorite line that she has shared with me is in my seeing, it becomes.
Mm.
So it's not an act of doing, it's not an act of trying, it's an act of witnessing. And in that witnessing, it weaves itself into being or it reveals itself to you. So I think more than anything, that's where I try to step out sometimes and be gentle on myself. I can't always see the whole picture, but I know that if I'm patient enough, it will reveal itself to me when it's time. And then I'll
Yeah.
engage and play with it where I want
Yeah.
to.
Fucking beautiful.
She's a hot. So she's beloved of Thoth. There aren't too many representations of her in Egypt. So that's always kind of a funny one, too. So she showed up to me 2008-ish, and we've been working together ever since. But I don't find that too much of the way that she's talked about really resonates with the soul level where I feel her to be. Um,
Mm.
for what it's worth, I prefer engaging directly rather than letting other sources of information taint my access.
Yeah.
I want to know what it
Fuck
feels
yeah.
like. Yeah.
That's what I try to explain to people all the time. I'm not a huge fan of getting the information from other sources, because it has to feel right to me.
It has to resonate
Yeah.
or else I'm going to let it go.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Has to mean something to you.
Well, and this is, I think it's a very masculine and feminine ways of going about it. The masculine's always trying to understand. And so it does become very conceptual. The feminine is allowed to experience, but we haven't been allowed to experience because it's threatening or has been in the past. Our ability to not need any information at all and be able to feel and embody and turn something on, that was dangerous to the powers that were.
Yeah. Ugh, God, there's
Ugh.
so much I want to bring
Ugh.
up. Like,
Ugh.
oh God. But I'm like, let's so I also I was listening to your podcast today, and one of my favorite things that is a
Which one?
concept that
Which
the
episode?
newest one. Um,
I'm somehow real proud of that one. Like that one came
it's
through in a way
beautiful.
that I listened to it later and I'm like, oh, I don't need to scrap it. There's actually something maybe. Okay,
No, there's a
cool.
lot of I love how you talk about manifestation.
As in, I
Because
don't.
exactly. And I want you to like let Jermaine know kind of your perspective on manifestation, because manifestation is such a popular concept right now, and kind of bringing it to a level for everybody so that they can understand that manifestation doesn't have to be the way this masculine.
No, I think
Yeah.
manifestation is a extension of our desire to control things. And in my own unraveling right now, I don't want to fucking control anything because I'll mess
Mhm.
it up because I've got my own limiting beliefs and insecurities, etc. I would rather align with what the universe thinks of me,
Yeah.
and clear my own blocks so that those manifestations aren't things that I'm creating or calling in. They're things that are like showing up, like in a video game where I'm like, ping, 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 I want that, I want that. But it's coming into the alignment of the flow with it instead of me calling it to myself or thinking that I'm creating it out of thin air, because I think that's also, oh, I heard you guys, lazy fucking spirituality. I'm just going to create whatever I want. That's actually called apparition. That is a superpower that we will get to, being able to create anything that you want. Fuck yeah. That's not manifestation.
Yeah.
Manifestation has been a little
Muddled.
muddled, hijacked. Like I think it's been created as this new age concept of you're either good at it or you're not. And I certainly know people who get everything they want. I don't know that they're manifesting it necessarily because I think that that just acts in again an old hierarchical system that doesn't resonate with where we're going.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's very much through that lens. I think that's kind of how, and Jermaine, jump in
Oh
whenever
no,
you want.
I was just gonna say, like Andy, like I am, uh, I don't know much about
That's
this.
the best place to be. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Once
like
you
I'm
think you know shit,
learning.
you're in trouble.
Okay. Yeah. So like my confidence is not up there where it's like, oh yes, then this is what I do. But so I do a lot of listening and learning. So that's why I'm so excited to have you on. Because yeah, no, I'm definitely trying to manifest in my life right now, and I don't know if I'm doing it right because it
Oh.
doesn't feel like what
Okay.
everybody else is doing.
Hold on. But you, okay. So you've got two mechanisms that are going on in there, right? I don't feel
Mm,
like I'm doing it right, which means it doesn't resonate for you. And
mhm.
then you've also got this place of judgment, which of
Yeah.
course is going to be more of the lesson. So learn the lesson of judgment that I don't need that because that's not really how I show up in the world.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think manifestation is fooey for the most part. I don't
All
think that
right.
that's actually what people are doing.
Yeah.
And again, like I've known people who do it amazingly, but yeah, when you're in that place of like it doesn't feel right,
Mhm.
listen to that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's
No, that's
enough.
what.
What does feel right? And
Yeah.
I like to magnetize things to me in that way. So I'm like, and it doesn't mean like I don't have vision boards, but I certainly have uh, an idea of where I want to align. But I also recognize like I'm not letting myself align to that because I still have this inner 6 year old who thinks that nobody is ever going to love us, who's kind of messing some things up in here. So can I love her enough that we all kind of get in line and we're like, ooh, yeah, we got that house in Hawaii going,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Right.
Instead of me
Exactly.
like reaching, so maybe that's what I want to say. To me, manifestation is more about resonating with rather than reaching out and grabbing.
Hmm.
The reaching
Yes.
out and grabbing because it's still going to keep us in that place of wanting, and there's a different energy in that rather than sitting in this place of like fucking basking in the trust of like, I know I'm a divine creator, so bring it on in.
All right. That and that I feel like that's where I'm at. Like it's like I'm very spiritual. I've been taking a break from my pride from the corporate world for a little bit right now.
Congrats.
Um well, thank you. It took some getting used to because it wasn't like it's kind of forced break, but
Well, but you were in somebody else's hustle.
yeah, yeah.
And you had to be kicked out of that because we didn't know that there was another option. So
Hmm.
as we all went into shutdown, we're like, hold up, wait.
Yeah, right.
I can do something else. And the judgment, I think, around that too. It was weird for a lot of us for a second because we had been on somebody else's timeline and somebody else's clock.
Exactly.
And it
But
was a rat race. It was insane. I can't even like I cannot conceive of how I was doing what I was doing a year ago.
yeah,
How the fuck did I fit that into a day and not exhaust myself?
you're right. But Jen, I'm sorry. You were going to say something.
Oh no,
This is
I'm
how it
like
goes.
rubbing my hands together. I'm like, this is what I want. This is the energy. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. No, but the resignating, yes. Because yeah, no, for like the first couple of months, it was like, okay, I need to be looking for another job, and I
Yep.
was feeling bad about wanting to take a break and not being ready to go to another job. And I think my sister was like, hey, if you were hired by someone, Thursday, if you were hired on Monday, would you be ready to work at that in that office? And I was like, no.
Oh,
So chill out. So that's what I've been doing.
good job.
Um,
Yes.
you know, so
And learning
Push.
how to be in the gentleness of that and the honoring of a completely different rhythm. I think that was a
mhm.
big jolt for a lot of us because it didn't necessarily feel selfish, but I still find myself in those days and I'm like, I should be doing some. No, I fucking work for myself. I
Yeah.
should not be doing anything other than what feels true and authentic right now. So I think the blessing of stepping out of that paradigm allows you to reassess where you are and who you want to be.
Hmm.
And
Definitely.
how you want to feel.
Yes. How
I
you want to
love
be
that. It's
treated.
like, You really are. You're working for someone else's hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember that. That's
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's rigged, and that's okay. Like somebody was real smart to fucking rig it that way. So like I don't have a judgment. I think I'm right now in a very clear space of like there's not the bad guys out there. They saw that there was a game that they could run. Good on them. But
Mhm.
it put the rest of us into a place of debt, slavery, and chasing stuff that we didn't think we needed before you told us we needed. So like it's just to me an agenda. It's not a dark order of anything that's ruling anything. Somebody was real fucking smart and they saw the bigger game than we did. And they have us all working for them now. And now we're like, fuck that. I'd rather find out what it is that this soul wants to do.
Definitely.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many layers to that that people are just getting so trapped in because they didn't see that before. And that's
They
kind of the
couldn't. It was
yeah.
dangerous to see that.
Mhm.
I saw something on Instagram last week or so, and it said, "Isn't it funny that we fear the witches, not the people who burned them?" Oh
Right.
shit! Like that feels to me like some of the paradigm shift that we're in right now. Of we were fearing the wrong people.
Yeah.
So we've had this entire class of people, the iconoclasts or the shamans, the ones outside of the system, for a long time, who have been kind of trying to find another way, but then society in general has shamed them so that we get into this place of, yeah, I didn't know there was another way because I had been so built into my self-worth and value was in completing a system and a game that they told me was the one that mattered.
Yeah.
Am I talking in circles now? Sorry.
No,
No, are
I'll
no,
you
not
grab
at all.
on
kidding
some
me?
shit.
Please. I know, like talk in
Yeah,
circles.
right.
Love it.
Ah,
I it's and you're not talking in circles. You're bringing it down to a level that is so completely understandable that people can finally resonate with. I think like the general population understands these concepts now that
mm.
they have been that it's all been hijacked. Like why do we want to be miserable? Why do we need to feel that? Because where are we going with that? Like what are we
Well, and the
achieving with
shame and
that?
suffering, the isolation that we've had
Yeah.
in our own shame. I've watched the AA communities do a pretty decent job of like really like, let's talk about it. And the shame is all the same. We've all made the same stupid errors, but we just had this lens on it that it was so heinous or so bad because it was us doing it, that we isolated ourselves quite a lot from connection, from love, from being seen.
Yeah.
Um, and last year, as everything on the outside stopped, we all got to kind of come in and clean house and be like, I don't know what's going on in here, but I'm going to take a nap.
I know, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take lots of naps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love
Totally napped today. It was amazing.
it. Right.
Woke myself up snoring several times. It was
Oh,
great. Full mouth fully open.
that is perfect.
Yeah. It was so yummy. But that kind of going back to the thing about being seen. So one of my dear friends, Shimona, I was like, "Do you have anything for Andy that you want me to
Do you
bring up?"
know? I remember you taking hikes with Shimona. I remember
Oh
Shimona.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's right.
Hey, Shimona.
Hey
Hey,
Shimona, this one goes out to you.
Yeah.
So she and I actually did some work yesterday, and we were just talking about, and I this comes from like I feel like everybody I know has this experience of this childhood wound of being seen, being heard, being
Shimona.
appreciated, and kind of like, how do we, like, we can see it, and now we start surrounding ourselves with the people who love us and appreciate us and see us and hear us. But sometimes it feels like it's still there. And how do we shift that? I for personally kind of like as I'm like, let me just answer my own question. Like honestly, what it feels like is like we're also sitting in that soup. We're sitting in that soup of like the entire world feels this sense of like no one sees me, no one hears me. Perhaps not in the last 30 or so years. Parenting has changed significantly, but because now we consider children like actual human beings who have feelings that we actually listen to and consider. But prior to that, that sort of centuries and generations of treating children like objects, not being seen, not being heard. It's just, I feel like the energy of that is still kind of sticking.
Hmm. It is.
What does that hit? How does that?
It makes me think of an article that I just read today, and it was a single woman who had gone to villages all over the world with her daughter to see how other places parented, and just recognizing what we have done so wrong in the West. Um, it was a completely different paradigm because in that way, I think we are a culture that's put a lot of power and shame into everything, including parenting. I think I've been listening to a lot of Gabor Mate recently. So, this idea of the trauma and how traumatized we have been, both as a nation, as families, as races, as individuals. The trauma that hasn't been healed and addressed. So, instead, we stay in the trauma because we think that we won't be loved if it's there or if we say what it is. And we have generations that weren't allowed to have trauma. Thank you. PTSD only came up as a fucking thing in 1980. Was it
Wow.
created in the DSM-4? So prior to that, we've got literally the trauma wasn't understood as being something that hurt us. And so I think whenever we get into that childhood part, it's not just our inner child wound, it's everybody's who is silently bumping into one another's. And then, oh God, I'm acting like it's not mine, or it doesn't feel familiar. So there'll be an attack or a judgment or a pushing away from and a rejection of whenever it really does look just like ours.
Mm-hmm.
So your first part of the question was, what do we do? And the words that I heard is like, bathe it in more love.
Mm.
I
like
woke
that.
up the other day and the words Maha Karu, which Jen may know what that means, were
No.
mouth. Maha Karu is the Egyptian for I am innocent. Amongst all of the gods and in all the dimensions, I am innocent. And it was not the innocence of judgment, it's the innocence of I've just done my best and I have just like I don't know. As Jermaine was saying earlier, like I don't know is the best place we can be. It is the place of innocence. It is a place of ease. It is the place of zero fucking I don't know.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we set out anything outside of that, we are either in the future or the past. The I don't know is right where I am. So I'm just going to take a deep breath until something else shows up and then I'll flow into it.
This
God.
is,
Can you like redesign the world like that?
yeah.
I think we are. I mean, it
I know
really,
we are.
truly, I don't say that in ego, but
Yeah.
that's the ask of us as
That's
the
what we're
ones
doing.
who are awake. We're
Yeah.
redesigning the fucking world, and we're doing it by looking at each other piece by piece. And this was in that last podcast that we
Yep.
just listened to. Like the 5D is because I can see you and you can see me, and we can see each other with love and clarity. And then all of a sudden, like a connection is made where it's safer for us to be ourselves in the world. That's profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. I just want to sit in that for a second.
Please do.
Let my
Wrap it
fingers
all
Yeah.
get.
up.
I know. I'm like,
Well,
let my fingers get all pruny.
Maha
right.
Karu. But to wake
Karu.
up saying that,
Yeah.
it was a moment, and I was like, dang, okay.
Yeah.
Practice the Egyptian teachings. The way that it goes is you practice when you're asleep. You don't just practice when you're awake. Why would you? How lazy would
Oh
it
my
be
God.
just to do it part of the time? So do these things in your sleep. So when I wake up saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, I did it.
Do you have are you aware of the work that you do in sleep? In sleep?
Sometimes. We did a thing called Dream School that went for a couple of months between 20 and 2021. My dreams got real loud and very specific. So I find that there's this very sweet thing that if I'm tracking it, they'll play with me a little bit more. I'm lazy, so I don't always track it.
Me too.
What is tracking? I'm sorry.
Tracking would mean like I write it down and I engage
Okay.
with it the next day, right? So
Okay.
I can see from that time period where I was leading a group through it. So I thought I should probably not be so lazy. If I'm asking others to do it, I should probably do it. The dreams were very like I can go back and there's like a very clear theme with everything. There's very clear messages that are in there. So am I aware when I'm sleeping? No. Because I like to sleep and I like to rest because I'm in altered states most of the other times anyway. my sleep is when I fucking restore. But if I go anywhere, I ask where I've been if it feels like I need to know. And if I show up in other people's dreams. I had a client one time and she's like, you did a depossession last night in my dream and you made the demon go away. Thank you so much. I'm like, you're welcome. And that was,
You're welcome.
$200 for, yeah, that's like, way to fucking hack it.
Here's my dream Venmo.
Yeah.
Here's my dream Cash App.
Put it in my cosmic coffers, please. Yeah, so I think I've always recognized that there are aspects of me who are there. And if I need to know, I will ask and I will gain access. That's how I've set up that place. Oh, that's funny. They wanted to, okay, I can talk about that. There was this one time and it was real dark energies that were coming in while I was sleeping. And I remembered waking up and coming out of my mouth was, motherfuckers, I'm awake on this dimension and every other. Good fucking try, but you gots to go. Like I am fucking aware here. I am aware there. You can suck your own dick. You got, and I woke up and like, I was like clearing the room. It was a very, so yeah, there's pieces of me that I don't know that I'm doing that, and then I do, and I'm like, that's pretty cool.
I love it.
I love it.
You can't take it too seriously, right? If I went to bed every night with like, I'm gonna be a galactic warrior, that would be pretty dicky. I don't want to. No, I'd like to sleep, please. If I need to masturbate myself,
I love hearing you say this because I always have this feeling like I know I'm doing work, and I've just kind of been like, before I go to bed, I'm like, I want to feel rested tomorrow, so whatever that means for you or me, like just let me wake up rested, and it's been working, which has been great. But I did wake up. I was in between states, and I was wearing. I don't know if I told you about this, but I was wearing a piece of moldavite that I was told I needed to have.
Ooh.
And I was wearing it around my neck, and I was told that I would have like really profound experiences with it. And moldavite, everybody, is a crystal, sort of, but basically that comes out of a meteorite hitting the earth.
Like you would call it a crystal.
I know.
It is a piece of meteorite that is intense little beautiful
super
beast.
Intense. They jump supposedly. And then I asked why mine wasn't jumping when it got to me, and I heard it's because it found you.
Interesting. That's lovely.
Yeah, I was like, pretty. But I was like facing Alan, and I was like, as I was kind of turning over, I kind of woke up and I realized I just had the very quickest like memory, and like I was just moving out of it, that I was over him doing energy work, and I could see his body, I could see meridians, and it was like lit up like neon. It was like, and I was like, but grids. I was like leaning over him doing all this shit, and I was like, damn it, I want to see that again. I want to know what I was doing. But I've also been told that I woke someone up in their sleep, and that I went inside their body, and that they stood up, and that they were looking around their apartment because it was me inside of them, like checking out their place. And I was like,
right?
Sorry.
Like I didn't need to do that. Oh, so sorry. I'm totally innocent. I'm so. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. How
much am I doing that? Like, how many people am I freaking out who were like aware?
Well, maybe they should have invited you in for a tour. That's what they get. Like, you won't let me in. I got
this part of me. I know that was like, let me check this shit out for myself.
Well, and wouldn't it be an interesting thing if that's actually what entities are? It's not anything bad. It's just unaware fucking psychics waking up and are like, hey, I can.
Oh, you froze. Oh no. Oh wait, you froze for a second. But yeah, like, well, that actually, the woman who I spoke to on the last podcast, I started to feel kind of crazy because she was basically saying that dark entities don't really exist. They are all aspects of ourselves that have been fragmented and were probably earthbound previously. Because if you think about it, all the fragment, and I was like, I don't know if I fully agree with it, But then I started thinking about it. If we fragment, and by fragmenting, I just mean like, for anyone who doesn't really understand, it's just when you're a child and you go through trauma, parts of you literally, parts of your soul break off.
And it's not just when we're a child. Souls can
And it
fragment at
keeps
any
happening, right? It
moment in
keeps
time.
happening
Yeah.
throughout life. And you basically
Any
have to go find
traumas,
those
a soul
parts.
will fragment.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that before, but I might. Yeah. Okay. We'll geek out on
But
that
that
later.
like you go and I, as I told you, I'm doing the training with the shamanic practitioner, and we're doing a lot of soul retrieval, and I've kind of done it before. But in essence, what this other woman was basically saying, it's like, so those fragments are still kind of existing on the planet somewhere from maybe previous
Different
incarnations.
timeline, right?
And maybe they're all, I mean, because like
That's
if you see an earthbound, it's probably not the whole thing. It's probably related to you somehow. I
yeah.
don't know. But it's all kind of an aspect of ourselves. I mean, it's all
I would.
us,
Yeah.
but
I would. I will say, like, there are entities that have got their own consciousness that are not just
see,
aspects of us.
that's
But if
what
they're
I
coming
feel.
in, um, I also want to be cautious because, yeah, thank you. You don't ever think you know shit. Didn't I already say that, Jermaine? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know shit. So as soon as I'm like, entities don't exist, something will come in and prove.
Of
We're not
course.
trying to attract that for ourselves or anyone else. Thank you. But I like this idea of like, I think it's us distancing ourselves from the darkness so we could call it something dark or shadowy outside of us.
Yes.
And even if it's not directly ours, if we're saying it's a past life, well, it's still something that we haven't healed. So whether it's ours or not ours, could it be a reflection of fragmentation that's just asking to be healed?
Yeah.
And you're the one that they're asking.
Yeah.
Duncan Trussell had this great theory one time that he shared about a bad acid trip. Um, and he's like, isn't it the universe just saying, I trust you so much that I'm going to show you my ugly side? Isn't that good?
Yes.
Like, I trust you enough that you can see this thing that looks scary. So I think I treat entities and
like,
things that we
here's my
cast outside
butthole.
of us the same way.
Yeah. Here's my hairy ball sack and my butthole.
Yeah, here's my stinky,
Come on in.
ugly part. Can you still love me? And can you still hold a
Yeah.
vibration? Because you've been doing all your work on yourself. So what happens when you see it outside of yourself? Do you lose your shit?
Yeah.
Or
Have
do
you
you
done
know that it's
acid?
yours? I've never done acid. Isn't that
Me
funny?
neither.
Mushrooms
Me
are my
either.
ally.
Hmm.
Um, I think I'm such a little hippie in that way. I'm like only natural. So I don't know what's in the chemical compounds of acid that are what I want.
Or like ayahuasca. Have you ever done
Oh.
ayahuasca?
I haven't. She hasn't called me. I think I hate the idea of vomiting that
Same.
much.
Oh my God, same. Yeah.
Uh,
You have to prepare
so
for like a month for that, right? Is that
there's different ways. I think ayahuasca done properly with the right shamans, there's always going to be what I want to call a sacrifice, which means you're going to give up something so that it can become more sacred.
Mhm.
This is the process of engaging. So for ayahuasca, not that I've done it, but I know that any type of plant medicines that I've engaged with, there is like a giving up of things before I like cross that threshold into the other world to receive the gifts.
Mm.
To me, it feels like the exchange and the honoring of that spirit and what they're asking of me. So for ayahuasca, I think there might be a no salt and a no lime, like no citrus, because the citrus will interfere with, I don't know, not my medicine,
Gotcha.
but
Wow.
so yeah, there's some preparation that's always required, but I think outside of plants, we're in constant states of initiation just by choosing to wake up every day and be on this planet.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting like weird visions. And I'm like, and I always have to,
Wait, weird
and
visions right now as we're talking about.
not right now,
Okay.
but like, and I always have to double check. And this might just mean I've engaged a little bit too much with the plant medicine, where I'm like, am I high right now? And I have to double check. And I'm like, no.
Oh, that's cute. No, I took an edible this morning. I was sure that it would wear off by the time I talk to you guys. I find cannabis to be a great ally when honored.
Yeah.
If I go into it out of habit or out of wanting to numb, not great for me. If I
Yeah.
go into it consciously as an ally and I'm like, hey,
Hey,
we
girl.
we get along much better.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Yeah, numbing is my fallback, so I have to be more mindful of it right now.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I think it might be the same with me as well because I think I did try to, like, we were in the middle of a blackout and I was freaking out and I was like, oh, I need to let me just numb this because I was really freaking out and it
Yeah.
just made it worse. Like I just ended up having to like go out and walk around and try to charge my phone in my car and so yeah, I definitely feel I'm the same way. Just gotta
Well, and isn't it
embrace
funny
it.
that, yeah, if you're trying to avoid the darkness and then you must confront the darkness,
Hmm.
and cannabis can help. She's a great ally in that too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
you want to avoid shit. She's like, we got work to do.
yeah.
You're going to look at it. You're going to open your eyes. You're going to
You
feel
have
it. You're
to.
going to
Right.
see it.
There was a King Arthur movie that was done by Guy Ritchie. I don't remember what the name of it, but it was recent.
I sort of
And I
remember
remember
that.
this one line in there, and he's like, "A king doesn't look away." And
Mm.
so I remember that every once in a while of like, we don't look away, like be present with it. And this is an act of power and not looking away.
Ah, yes, that makes
That's
total
what
sense.
my teacher, I was like, so she's kind of, we're trying to do this work to make sure that I'm sort of healed enough to be able to sort of do this compassionate depossession class that I'm going to be doing in April.
Oh.
Yeah, nothing I'd ever thought I'd ever like be interested in, but I was like,
You
I just
can't
got to
go.
this point.
Yeah, no, you can't go through shamanic training and not learn how to do a
Yeah,
depot.
a depot, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, I said to her, I was like, I just want to make sure that I'm not going to be like too scared. So I want to do as much work as we can to make sure that I'm not like fearful.
Good
She's
luck.
like, you're gonna be scared. I was like, okay, all right. I was like, I loved that. I was like, well, at least if I know I'm gonna be scared, then I can be somewhat of an expectation. But then that's bad too, because it's then I'm like having an expectation of being
You're
scared.
overthinking it, B.
I know.
Like,
Am
come
I? Have you met me?
on. Well, Gemini, baby.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought this. But then I thought this. But then
No.
I
But then
realized
experience. Like the
this.
thinking doesn't fucking matter. Like get in there and
Yeah.
see what happens. And yeah, you
Yeah.
might be scared, but in every initiation, that way you'll learn something you
Yeah.
didn't know before.
Yeah.
Not comfortable,
It's
but
not comfortable.
it expands our awareness. So we have new kitty here at the house.
Yeah.
New kitty has been in one room because existing fucking queen kitty, we're working on it slowly. So I was telling my daughter, I'm like, isn't it interesting that right now our new kitty thinks that this room is the entirety of things? She
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
know there's another room. She doesn't know there's an upstairs. She doesn't know there's an outside.
Oh yeah.
And so I was just kind of sharing that analogy of like, isn't that what we do where we think that this is the room? And so in shamanism, you think this is the world, and then you go toe to toe with the galactic fucking demon. You're like, oh, I didn't know that exists. The world expands.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, I feel like I've seen so many already.
But you haven't seen shit.
Pros. And I haven't. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
that's not a judgment on anything. It's just
Yeah.
saying like whatever you have seen hasn't really been seen yet, or else you wouldn't have any reaction. And you're like, let's go.
Yeah. I feel like I'm getting there though.
I
Where
showed
I'm like,
your picture to my sister-in-law today because I'm like, I get to talk to Jen later today, and like, bitch be fierce, like comes through with this light and this power and effusive like love and giddy and sensuality. And I showed her your picture. She's like, oh yeah, fire dry. Like, yeah, okay, can feel it all. So
and
yeah,
of
you
course
can
I'm like,
act all
yay.
timid.
Yeah.
Um, no, they'll meet you where you are, but they'll always challenge you too.
Yeah. I
And
want
then
that.
once you get through it, you're like, I'm a badass. I didn't
Oh
know I
yeah.
could. There's something really empowering in that process, but yeah, we keep just gaining more, and the
Yeah.
world gets bigger.
I mean, I can talk about this a little bit, but you and I had a session where stuff came up about
Oh,
aliens and
sorry.
stuff. And then that triggered me into like a real sort of messy space for myself. And And you were coming at it like, no, like get angry, like this is done, like you don't need to, this doesn't have to be a part of your world. I don't know if you remember this, but this was
When you say it, I can feel the frequency. I don't remember details.
yeah, no, that's okay. And that is common, everybody. You always want a teacher or an intuitive who works with you who doesn't remember shit because you
Yeah.
definitely don't want them holding on to it.
No. Bad for
So
us, bad for y'all.
yeah, sorry. Better write it down or record it. But it was just basically that I was not aware of
Oh,
my part
truth.
in the
Cute.
hybridization program, in a program. We'll just put it that way. And I remember like being so angry and so upset, and then kind of calling in my relatives who are no longer with us, and but facing them and being like, what the fuck? And them being like, there's nothing you can do about this. And I was like, fuck that. I was like, no fucking way. And I just got so angry and I was like, I don't care.
No, it's an old fucking contract. So yeah, you get to be the one who breaks it, but it
Yeah, I
feels
was
like
like,
it was forged out of fear. It wasn't forged out of
yep,
full awareness.
yeah. And I was like, that's done.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys need to
It's
fucking
predatory.
heal. Yeah.
Fuck you guys. We don't do that anymore. We're
No,
we're,
fuck
we're
that
past
shit.
that.
It's that parasitic. And it's literally like taking pieces. And I remember kind of almost having the conversation with my guide who doesn't come around anymore because she is a future self who is part of that program. And
Interesting. She was
she,
harvesting shit from you. I mean, that's just what I'm picking up now.
yeah,
But it's like she was literally
she
harvesting and
doesn't
then
come in
bringing it somewhere
anymore
else. Good.
because but she was like, you can't, and she was a little, meow. She was like, you can't be
She had a
upset with
contract
this.
in place. She had a job to do. She was supposed to fucking do what she signed up to do
Yeah.
and has agreed to do on this timeline for all eternity.
She's like,
So
this is the reality of the universe. DNA altering is the reality of the universe. And I'm like, no, it's not.
no, DNA
Not if you're
evolving
talking
is
about
bitch.
divine human, like divine human and Christ consciousness, not having to do with like Christianity, but like that's what we are. We are not
Yeah.
hybrids. We are not, we don't need to be manipulated.
We
Like,
were, I mean, let's be real. We were designed it that way, but we have
yeah,
evolved past that point.
yep,
So the claiming of sovereignty
yeah,
is certainly in that vein of like, wait a second. I think
yeah,
I remember something more than you guys are letting me believe here.
yeah, exactly.
So I'm sorry if I don't mean to cut in.
Jermaine, go ask us to go back wherever we need to because yeah, we
No.
just went down some rabbit holes.
I know, but he has to go soon
Oh,
also.
no, you know what? I mean, it's fine. Like I can't
There's
leave
a
this
there's a
conversation.
And I was late. I
No,
apologize.
no,
no,
Thanks
no, no.
for your
no.
flexibility.
Go ahead.
It's no, we're good. No, I just want to like I guess what I'm shocked by is that so your guide, um, so was that the same guy that helped you with our like when we did some inner child work last year? Like basically where my question is where I'm going with is that
Yeah.
your guide was only there doing a job, and then when she couldn't get what she wanted or there was nothing there for her, then she just left and she doesn't come back.
I pretty much stopped. I basically was
Broke
like,
the contract.
no. Yeah, I was like, no, this doesn't feel right to me anymore.
Wow.
But I don't know that she was always the one helping me. It's not that I felt her helping me with the work. I feel like I did have other guides that were coming in.
Yeah. I'm just
So
surprised that
yeah,
there's like
that
that it,
me too.
that even happens in that
Yeah.
I don't know that world or that
Yeah.
that level where it's
And
like
like what it feels like now is that it's our timeline has shifted. Like the timeline between me becoming into her, like becoming her or whatever that connection is no longer there.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm not,
potential reality. It's not
yeah,
a fixed reality.
yeah.
hmm.
And she was very she would kind of like criticize me if I was always trying to make people laugh.
That's
um,
not a
Like that.
guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sorry.
But then I would be like, but I don't understand. Like, what are you trying to get from me? And she's like, I am you. Like, I am your future
Mm.
self. And that would kind of keep coming back. And
mm,
I was
Can
like,
we talk
okay.
about guides for just a moment so that
Yeah.
everybody has some clarity and like
Yeah.
boundaries in that way? Because I had a guide who came in yesterday, and he's one who I've worked with before. But yesterday he's like, "Oh, we should do this because it would make quite a story." I'm like, "Who motherfucker, like, I am not looking for the story. So any guide who is in that way stroking an ego or evoking some fame, some glory, something out of it, those are not the ones to be trusted. I'm like, dude, wrong one, go
Yeah.
away.
And it's subtle. I mean, I think people have to realize it's like a personality that you would meet with someone. Like it's like it kind of they might talk the talk. There might be some familiarity there. There might be some kind of a
They'll
connection.
probably know
But if
something about you, because
yep,
so don't let that just be the thing. Like, they
yeah,
knew. Any being who is not in a body can know shit about you, as
yeah, very
Dang
easily.
it.
have a psychic reading.
I
Dang
can't,
it.
I can't even trust guides now.
I know.
Not that I have one. I don't know.
You don't have one,
Yeah.
I
Jermaine?
don't know. I mean,
Uh,
I do have an intuition, but is that, I don't know.
Intuition, yeah, you can call it God. I would say
Okay.
right now I'm in a space of evolving to the whatever. I don't think that guides exist. I think it's all just ways that we understand ourselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I can't like understand that I'm capable of that, so I'll call it a guide, because that my brain can get around as I
Yep.
learn, like fucking training wheels.
Yeah. We need the
Oh,
archetype. Like we
yeah.
need the story. And that's something I think as like we're both realizing, I feel like, it's not what we don't need it anymore. It's not that we
Mhm.
don't need it, but we can at least we can recognize
We're
that
able
we
to
are
hold greater power now.
personifying it. Say that again?
Gotcha.
We're able to hold greater power now.
Yeah.
And even more than we could a year ago, more than we could 6 weeks ago. The evolution right now is it's like a
Yeah.
potty. It's nonstop. It's insane and glorious, because we keep getting turned on more and more to what we didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
Jermaine, look at your reality now than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
You didn't know that this could happen. So, oh,
Yeah. Not at all. Like it was even though I prayed for it, um, it was still when it hit, it was like, oh, this hurts. This is not what I thought it would be.
mm-mm.
How am I going to get through this? And I have been. So yeah, no, it's definitely
And that's how
new.
we gain power, right? It is
Mhm.
that, like, not the testing of faith, but it's the earning of it. It's no longer conceptual, it's walking through it now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And seeing that once you've walked through it, you've walked through it.
Mhm.
And it
You
seemed a
can't.
lot scarier before you walked through it, and now it's not.
Oh, and well, that's the thing I wanted to say, Jen, about your concern about whatever you're going into. The
Yeah.
thoughts beforehand are always worse. Like, when you get
Yeah.
thrown into it, you're like, oh, what are we going to do here? Okay.
Yeah.
There's something that rises up in you that's bigger. So if we stay in the concept of it, or the fear, the thought is much more dangerous than the actuality of things.
It's so funny that you say that because my sort of power animal is a bear. And I saw this bear years ago in a dream where for some reason I I literally thought it was like I was about to be attacked by this bear and I got up and I was like roar and I like scared it away and I remember waking up being like yes I totally scared that bear away and then that bear started coming into like visions or like if I had meditations but he was very like I would literally just like he'd be like come hug me and I'd be like okay I guess I don't know why or what but and now the work that I'm doing with the practitioner he's coming in a lot more so it's
Well,
like
and
I
isn't
know
that
I can do
shadow
that
work too? Something
yeah
that I used to fear, that I then find comfort in,
yeah
because there's not a separation and a distance.
exactly oof yeah God I
How
feel
did
like
you
there's
find your shaman?
so I it's an interesting story. I use my plant medicine in like sort of ritual. Like I always go outside into the backyard and I just kind of like look at the sky and it's always at night
Can we
and I
take the
was
sort of word out of there for y'all listening, please? This is
yes.
ritual. Ritual is anything that you do with an intention.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I spend my time, thank you. I spend my time outside looking up at the sky, listening to
Mm.
the wind. I feel very I feel very tied to the wind. I'm an air sign. Um Wind speaks to me
Mm.
in a way. I've been able to sort of call it and then have it come through a melody that comes to me that I don't know where this melody is from. Yeah, so it's really cool. And I was listening. We have a tree that had all these sort of seed pods on it, and the wind was blowing it, and I could
Oh,
hear like
how
a rattle.
gorgeous.
And I was like, oh, that must be where rattles came from. It's the sound of the, the trees and the wind and that shaking sound. And I was like, I need to get a rattle. And
It's the sound of the universe moving, is what I
yeah,
just heard.
yeah, that's what I felt. And I was like, now I understand that rattles are important. I was obviously familiar with them because of you. And then I basically found someone on Etsy, of all places, who is a native man. And it's called the Rattle Maker. He makes gorgeous rattles.
Is he the one out of Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen his stuff.
Um, Sean Walking Bear.
Okay, there
Sean
you go.
WB. So I contacted him and I was very humble. And I was just like, I talked with him a little. I wanted to know about his process because the rattle that I got from him has a painting of the Pleiades on it, and it's just beautiful.
Come
Oh
on.
fuck it, let me just get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Oh,
Yeah, get out of the
Even-
closet.
I know. Hold
Get
on,
out of the
I'm like
closet!
literally tucked in because BRB.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff. But yeah, I hadn't heard that about the wind before, or about the rattle, the
Yeah.
rattling.
And we're back. So it's
Oh, that is nice.
Come the fuck.
So since
Sorry.
we're not a visual thing yet, so
yes, everybody.
maybe you can describe it, Jen.
This is what it sounds like. How about that? So it's a blue rattle, and it's actually vegan by request. I did not want animals on it. I don't know why, but that's just kind of what I was asking for. And there's a Hopi symbol on the handle. And so I had been writing to him about his process, and I wanted a real one, and I'm really particular about tools and stuff because I feel like it has to have, because I've felt negative vibes off of jewelry that I've bought, or this is why I can't wear vintage clothes. Like I there's a vibration there that
It's true.
it's really hard for me to. So I was like, I wanted it to be real. I wanted it to be made by someone who knows how to do this and was doing it in a tradition. So I had exchanged some, emails with him, and then months later I just was like, are you willing to teach me? Because because he does a lot of like, he calls himself a spiritual warrior. So he does a lot of like psychopomp and deals with a lot of that dark stuff, and he was like,
It's
I'm
not
on
that
sabbatical.
dark. Hold on.
I know
So,
it's not
hold
that
on.
dark,
I
right?
know. I just need to make sure that nobody's hearing and
I
like.
know. Don't get scared, you guys,
No,
because
no,
that's
no.
gonna make it worse.
It's beautiful work. It's all.
It
It's
is
all
beautiful
retrieving
work.
of the light. It's
Because
all
it
bringing the light
is,
back to things.
yeah, and it is about that compassion for the dark, because the dark is just comes from a place of suffering and
The dark has
disconnection.
forgotten that it's light.
Yep, exactly. Really is just in a phase of like, doesn't know that it's light. And then when you offer compassion or even see it for what it is, it shrinks. I've seen beings come to me that I wasn't scared by them, but I could tell they were in pain, and they were trying to sort of scare me, but with a scary face, or sort of weird eyes or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then they would be like, "Ah," and then they would like disappear. But
Compassionate
he
depossession.
recommended,
Like God, it's gorgeous.
yeah, it'll be very interesting. So he said he was on sabbatical, that he said he had a woman that he recommended that I get in touch with. He gave me her number, and she's
Wow.
she's in Nevada. She wasn't really seeing a lot of clients. She's been doing it for 30 years, and she is like another mother for me right now. Like, that's what she feels like. She's really, and she explains things to me in a way that I understand, because I'm learning about kind of how I learn and how my brain works, which is, thanks remote schooling. Thanks for showing me how my children learn and how frustrating it is, and then learning about myself in the process. Thank you. So yeah, that's how I found her.
Mm.
Lainey Risto.
Lainey,
Everybody.
hi, Lainey.
Yeah. And she's a
Yeah.
singer.
Well, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
how else would you use voice to create the universe without
Exactly.
voice?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm like, I want to stay talking to you for like much longer, but I do have to at some point. I'm gonna edit all of this out, by the way.
Humaning. I know you're cute.
I have to go human. But
Andy,
Andy, Oh my God.
You are
Jer-
awesome.
Hey, thanks, Jermaine. I heard you had a ton of questions. Have you? Is there anything else that you want to make sure we cover today?
Um, I don't know if I have anything else. I mean, I'm just like I wish we could talk longer too because I'm just feeling really good right now. But no, I look forward to like getting like I just discovered your videos a few weeks ago, and I look forward to going through your videos and learning more
Ooh,
about
you
you and
get
what
to
you
watch the
do.
entire the plus minus size whole journey that wow. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got videos back to like 2011, I think. And I look at those, I'm like, who in the hell?
But
Wild.
as you were
Oh,
saying, it's like it's the
It's the journey.
progression. You see the progression of somebody. I love the
hmm
idea of leaving your like this is who you were in that moment. It's like getting tattoos on your lower back.
Do you have a tattoo on your lower
Of
back?
course I
I
do.
totally do too. And I'm like, it wasn't a tramp stamp when I got it, you
It wasn't.
motherfuckers. My
No, fuck you,
God.
wedding crashers, for that fucking like
Oh,
cultural.
mine is rad. Like, I don't know what happened
Mine
to
is
the rest of
rad.
you who got them after me, but
Yeah, I know. Mine's what is yours?
it's a Celtic butterfly.
Oh,
Mhm.
mine's a sun. And
Oh.
it was a sun design, a tribal sun that I've seen on several people because I got it right off the wall. But
Sorry.
Hopefully, as we have evolved, our tattoos have as well. Yeah, I'll only do original artists at this point. And I'm like,
yeah,
I, I-
I need to move back into that world. I need to get some more. I love it.
Yeah.
or not. Like I have energetic a lot of tattoos. I can feel
Oh
them.
yeah.
Right. Like I don't need to always put my body into a traumatic initiatory state to receive.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I manifest a tattoo?
I know. Oh my God.
Ooh.
I literally was trying to move a crystal yesterday with my mind. I was like, I know we're going to be able to do this soon. And I was like, "Ugh." Didn't work.
I try all the time.
I know.
Yeah, I
Me
totally get
too.
it. I'm like, not yet. Okay, fine.
Like, come on.
Someday it's gonna work, and then I'm gonna lose my shit.
I know. I know. Like, we're not ready for it to work just yet,
Mm-mm.
but almost.
Pretty
Almost.
close.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Oh my God. I love you so much. Thank you so
This
much
was
for.
delightful. You guys are so much fun.
You are. Thank
Anytime,
you.
anyhow, you just I'll show up. Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I would
you're
love
coming
to have you on
back.
again. Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This conversation. I mean, I didn't ask many questions, but um, you gave me what I needed to hear. Like like I've been questioning myself and the avenue I'm going down because it's still like I still have to get a HR job until I can make
Maybe.
my loves part full to maybe
Love it.
maybe, but it just I'm just feeling very positive right now. So thank you.
Well, and remember, we're all doing something new. So
Yeah,
as long as it's uncomfortable, it means you're doing something new.
yeah,
The comfort is to go back into what you did, but then we also have to remember the misery that came with that
yeah.
quote unquote comfort. That
True.
wasn't great. I was somebody else's bitch for that sucks. And I worked in corporate for a long time. I had a corporate job for years alongside this as it got up and going and was able to support me more fully. So you have to be smart about it. But yeah, there's shifting realities very quickly. So just don't attach yourself to like, well, in that world, I need to have a job. And I think, excuse
Okay.
me, the biggest like scam is like insurance, where I hear people like, well, I have to have a job to have the insurance. And I'm like, well, how often do you use it? Like, there are legit things, but I think a lot of times the things that we've been told are responsible is also what we're questioning right now.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. That is exactly it.
If I drain my
Um,
401k so that I don't have to go back to a job I hate, that's perfectly responsible. That's what it's there for.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I.
paradigms, like we have to keep choosing in favor of our joy. And that's new. And so we have a
Mhm.
fear that people are going to judge it or we're going to be like bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we
No.
just need universal health care already. It's just like,
Exactly.
it's so ridiculous.
No, we actually need free technology where medical is no longer the issue is what we need. So I'm just going to say like, let's evolve it bigger because universal healthcare, yeah, that's lovely in this human system, but it's also incredibly limiting because I can fix my shit.
Yeah.
I had a little thing going on last week in my body and my brain wanted to freak out. I'm like, wait a second. I'm a divine being. Don't I know that I can fix anything in this body by bringing it back into like golden light vibration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not
True.
being an asshole about those things. You know, doctors are great for a reason when things are broken.
Yeah.
But I think in us taking back our full power in these places, we look to ourselves first instead of looking outside of ourselves first.
Yeah. I did just take
Agreed.
care of my cramps through Reiki.
Did you?
I
Did it
did. They're
work?
gone. Totally
Look
worked.
at that.
Yeah.
And you know, we feel like badasses every time, even if we've done it like 80 times, there's still that like, I just did that.
I'm like, I can't believe it worked. Meanwhile, I've seen it work multiple times, but I'm still like, can't
But
believe it's
it's
real.
like that rubber band of the old paradigm, though, right? Like the old world says, I shouldn't be able to do this.
Yep.
And so each time we do, we stretch it a little bit further or we strengthen that knowing, trust, ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm starting to get a sore throat and I've just been Reikiing it. And it's like once you get it at the beginning, you remember you can do it and you fucking do it and then it's
Ooh.
gone. I mean, again, if it's really bad and it's going somewhere else and then
And
maybe
I'm going to say another thing here, too, because sometimes we have these things come up so that we can learn. So in the case of a sore throat, great. Well, maybe there's some, something that needs to be spoken that's not being spoken. So
mm,
I think we have to be cautious of, I'm always going to fix whatever's going on in
sure.
here.
Sure.
No, I have to be in relationship with whatever's going on in here to see if I've
Yeah.
learned the lesson, if I can love it enough. And it,
And I know exactly what that lesson was. I was in a mask talking to someone at the hair salon and I wanted to relax and I wanted to close my eyes, but they kept asking me questions and I'm a talker. So I talked for like a full hour and I can't breathe in that shit. And
mm-mm.
and I get like nauseous, like I get sick and
And isn't
so
it weird that we have that voice outside of us of like, well, I should keep talking to her
mhm.
instead of like, I need this time for me and
Yep.
I'm going to shut up.
Yep. And that was my lesson. And it's funny because Alan was like, just put your headphones in. No one, that's how I get no one to talk to me. I'm like, ugh.
Feels
I
so
wish
rude.
I know, right? Like as a woman, I'm like, but I don't want to offend them. They really wanted to talk and I
But what do
but then I
I?
get a sore throat out of it. So that's my lesson.
And then we can Reiki it, right?
Then
So
we
I
get
just want to
Reiki.
maybe
Yeah.
offer that, like learn the
Yes.
lesson of it,
Oh,
and
that's
then you're
perfect.
at peace with it instead of judging it as something bad,
Yeah.
and then you're not learning the
Yeah.
lesson.
I was
Nothing
like
bad.
really proud that I wasn't like convinced I had COVID. I was like, I don't have COVID. I'm like, I'm not even
A one
not even
a
gonna
one
go
hour
there.
sore throat, and
Yeah,
maybe
I know.
it's a
It's not.
goofy energy that's out there right now because I even had a little tickle in my throat last night and I had like there's that like it's not COVID. I'm like, of course, duh.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
know, but
I mean, a year ago though, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna die. Or like 9 months ago, I was like, I remember there would be like a couple of days where I was totally convinced. And then I realized, and listen, not to downplay anyone's experience with COVID. People have
yeah.
lost people. It's so fucking serious. But for myself in that moment, I was
Mhm.
aware that I was gonna, it was kind of playing with me. It was like, oh, you want me?
Well, and
Because I'll
COVID is
come
very
in.
much that,
Yeah.
in my experience with it, it's initiatory.
Yeah.
If somebody needs to learn some things through that,
Yeah.
it will come in and provide that. So it feels not that there's a consciousness, but it's got so many faces of it.
Yeah.
It'll give you whatever you're scared of so that you can learn not to be scared of it.
Yeah.
And for the people who don't want to be on this planet and who have been in lots of pain, suffering, like it's offering a way out.
Yeah.
So it's not, again, we can't demonize it as like something good or bad. It just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And we can't say that people are choosing it consciously because they're,
No, because
yeah.
that's so mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not that anybody's choosing
Yeah.
it. But there is a way to engage with it and play with it. So yeah, whenever it shows up for you and me, Jen, in that way of
Yeah.
like, you don't. And I'm like, where did you come from?
Yeah. Yeah. And
What?
I'm like, nope.
No.
I'm like, back the fuck up. But oh, this was such a joy and a pleasure. And I've been looking forward to it for weeks. And I'm so
Thanks.
excited to talk to you. I'm so excited to see you, even though you guys can't see it, but that's okay.
We
We're
can
all about
see
the
it, and I think
intimacy
it
of
helps for
sound.
connection.
I do too.
Definitely.
And even thanks, you guys. I won't keep going because we could go for another 10 minutes if I.
But Andy, thank you so much.
Oh, you are
I-
purely delightful to be here.
Nice to be in orbit.
Oh my god. That was so much fucking fun. I can't even. I mean, hopefully you heard it. I'm assuming you heard it in my voice and in Dupree's voice, and in Andy's voice. That was one of the most fun times I can remember having in a long time. I love Andy so much, if it wasn't obvious already. You can find her at andymurphy.com. You can also find her on Instagram under Rock and Roll Shaman. I'm going to include all that information down in the show notes. She also has a program on Patreon called Luminous Mysteries, and that's a school. And in addition, she also has a podcast on Anchor, Cosmic Mama Podcast. All around amazing human being, super fucking fun, really brings all of these concepts and all of these ideas down to a level that people can really understand and feel. This is what I've learned from Andye Murphy. I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for her. So I'm so happy that you joined us. Please like and subscribe. Is that what you do on podcasts? I don't even know. Do whatever it takes to make sure that you get notified the next time we release an episode. Thank you so much for listening. Bye, guys.